Ready? Call the roll.
Bird, Stein,
Here.
Mormon,
Here.
Hilsaback,
Here.
Williamson, Ingstrom.
Here. Okay, number 2, approval of agenda.
Any changes, Your Honor?
No changes this evening.
To approve?
Second. Call the roll.
Stein,
Yes.
Mormon.
Yes.
Hilsaback,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Ingstrom.
Yes. Okay, number 3, presentation of petitions and other communications. A, update on Boone County Convention Visitors Bureau. Chris?
Good. All right, got a few things for you guys. I know you guys all know it's May Day, so I made May basket. Well, I hope you're old enough to know what May baskets are.
I haven't gotten one all day today, so I'm
There
excited.
you go. There you go.
Awesome. Thank you.
May basket. And that's. I'll just let you guys pass around.
Supposed to run though.
I know.
You're supposed to run and we'll catch you. I remember how you do it.
I don't know.
Yeah. someone would.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely. I appreciate everything you guys do, so. Okay, now I have some materials to pass out as well. So first I'm going to talk about, give an update on tourism. Kind of what's been happening. Some of you guys were able to make it to the annual meeting. So some of this might be a little, since I talked about some of these things at the annual meeting. Next week starts Tourism Week, so we're excited about that. Tourism Week is an annual industry tradition celebrating the value travel holds for our economy, businesses, personal well-being and more. So anyway, on our social media, we'll be trying to, do a lot of things around that. One of the things that I'm most excited about is the Soul of Iowa campaign. We were selected with the State Tourism Office. I had to submit for an application to be selected, and Boone was selected as one of those destinations this year. So the Soul of Iowa campaign is the State Tourism Office pays to have somebody come in and do a drone footage, and they fly this drone all over places that I've suggested, gave them lists because, we have so many things. How do you skip them? And they did 4 communities this year they're doing 7. So I'm excited about that. Had our first meeting with them, and we'll definitely be moving forward, and they're working on a plan as far as when they're going to be able to bring that drone here and start that this summer. So anyway, that's what the State Tourism Office will be using for their marketing campaigns when they market to these different states coming up this next year. So I'm super excited about that, and just grateful that we were selected as one of their communities. The next thing is, I think it reflects what great partnerships do. So the State 1A golf course, or the State 1A tournament is going to be held in Boone this year, thanks to our partnership with the Ames CVB. Kevin, one of his sports director, reached out to me months ago and said, do you guys have a golf course in town that you guys think you could utilize for hosting some of the state tournaments? And I'm like, absolutely. So sat in on a meeting with Carol Clemens and highly recommended the Cedar Point Golf Course. I think you guys all know that that's a very nice course, and they've done a lot of things to get it to where it's at. So anyway, they were super excited that, so we were selected to host the girls 1A state golf meet, which will be May 26th, 27th. At Cedar Point. And then also we were selected to host the co-ed that will be the first weekend in June. So that's exciting, getting some recognition there. And again, good partnerships do pay off. So the last thing is hopefully you guys saw some big tour buses around recently. One of the things that the board and I have talked about, my board and I, is group tours. We have never really targeted that a whole lot. We've always kind of dipped our toe in it, but never really did a whole lot with it. So this last year, in March, I went to Wisconsin Dells for Midwest Marketplace and met with 46 different travel planners. So they are the ones that put together the tours, and I had 6 minutes to sit in front of them and tell them all the great things they could do if they brought their group tours here. So anyway, last Thursday and Friday, last Thursday was originally on the books. They sold out within days. So they added a second. So yeah, so they had brought 2 big tour buses, both Thursday and Friday, had 54 passengers. It was a mystery tour. Their tour consisted of stopping at my office. I welcomed them with rolls and coffee and juice and stuff. And then from there, they went to ride the Boone and Scenic Valley Railroad with the lunch train. After that, they came downtown, shopped, went to the Historical Society and Dutch Oven. And then when they left from there, they went out to Fairway and went to the Fairway Distribution Center and got a great tour out there. So anyway, it was super exciting. This has been one thing of tourism that's been kind of the slowest to come back is our group travel.
That just people from Iowa, who was on the bus?
It was, yep. So they were from Marion, so over by the Cedar Rapids area. Yep, it's through a bank. So it was Farmers State Bank, I think is what it was. And they put out the tour. Everybody knows that it's a mystery, so they don't know where they're going or what they're doing. And so they just show up, they pay their money and then get on the bus and go. So yeah, so we're hoping to capture way more of that. When I went to Wisconsin, those are out of state. That fits our what we're really trying to target is some out of state. So obviously we capture their hotel motel dollars. So that's why we're
I bet they were impressed with all the things we have.
extremely impressed. Yeah, absolutely. They were like, wow, you guys have so much going on. So yeah, they loved all that we had. On that positive note, I had lunch the other day with Heather, which is a division manager for Rail Explorers. They currently are sold out until the end of August for weekends. So they have some tour dates open during the week, but their weekends are currently sold out. So I'm super excited about that. It wasn't just a one-year fad, seems to be carrying its tradition. And of course, had lots of excitement when I was on the road this winter. They were like, what is that? Tell me all about that. So people are excited. So, and I make sure I flaunt the fact that you can't do it anywhere else in the Midwest other than in Boone, Iowa. So that's exciting. One last thing, Nights on the Green. Friday night is our first night. We're ready to kick off Cinco de Mayo, and Midland Power is our sponsor for the night. So if you guys can come join us Friday night, we'll have good entertainment.
And weather will be good.
We'll hold our breath.
Yeah, weather will be great.
Okay. That's-
Yeah.
Okay.
One with it. All right, any questions on tourism? Okay, we'll move on to the back page, the City of Boone marketing. So I think, in the past, Bill and I worked together to put together some marketing campaigns. I think what we've done this year is just spectacular. We normally have just targeted one company, and this year we've tried to integrate a lot of different options. So this year, we're doing the majority of everything with WHO. So we'll do some commercials with them. So we'll have 63 commercials that will air. And then they will be bringing Megan to Boone, and we'll do an on-site Hello Iowa campaign here in Boone with her leading up to Pufferbelly Days. So probably film it sometime at the end of July. And then it'll air either right up to Pufferbelly Days, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometime that week. So excited about that. KCCI, we're going to do a targeted video commercial for those that surf the internet. This is a non-skippable, and it'll have 100,000 impressions. Fox 17, we're going to do 100 commercials on Fox 17 for those that watch that channel for daytime. And then we're going to do also a digital campaign for audience extension displays on TV platforms. So that's anybody who streams their TV. If you have YouTube, Roku, any of those streaming, that will target those. And that'll have 200,000 impressions on Fox 17. And then the last piece of the campaign is some Facebook boosts that we will, I'm obviously working with Concept Works on some stuff and have some commercials that we're going to boost and post on social media as well. So with that, Aaron, you got anything else about the commercial?
No, I think Chris did a great job of covering it. This is probably a little more than we spent last year, but I certainly think worth it. The points that we're trying to make and get across for promoting this community. It is budgeted. And, so I don't need your approval unless you want to give it to me because it is budgeted. This is more, that didn't sound right, did it? More than welcome to give me your approval. But it's budgeted money. This was, an update for you to let you know what we're planning on doing on the commercials. That sounds better.
Time frame of the advertisement.
So May, we're starting middle of May, gonna run till the first part of August. Yep.
I'd like to give you my approval. It looks real good.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Great. Any questions for me? No. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Okay, next up, C, set a public hearing for May 15th, 2023 at 6 p.m. for the consideration of the proposed fiscal year 2023 budget amendments.
So moved. Second.
Call the roll.
Mormon,
Yes.
Hilsaback,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes,
Ingstrom,
Yes.
Stein.
Yes.
Okay, number 4, report of standing committees. A, Policy Administration, Employee Relations Committee.
we met.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to Bill.
I mean, handle it. Go ahead if you.
Yeah, we met and,
Go ahead.
no, you can summarize. You said you,
Sure, absolutely. So P and A committee met at 5 o'clock today to review the job description for the rec director. We made a few changes. We're good with it. So what's going to happen is I'm going to make the changes and that job description will be brought to full council on May 15th for your approval.
Okay, next up, Public Safety and Transportation Committee. Cole.
So number 1 is request place signs and parking for an event sponsored by the airport on May 20th, 2023, and I will direct towards Scare.
Thank you. So the airport is sponsoring an event out there with Farnham Aviation. Generally, parking signs are not allowed on the park to direct them to that facility, but the Public Safety Committee has done it in the past for nonprofits. It's their airport sponsored, so I think it's appropriate if council would decide to approve it.
second,
Call the roll.
Hilsaback,
Yes.
Williamson,
yes,
Ingstrom,
Yes.
Stein.
Yes.
Mormon,
Yes.
And then number 2 is consider approve options for street lighting on Hancock Drive and for the new school, and I will also direct that towards Administrator Scare.
Thank you. Second. Well, now I just. Give me just a second, I just lost it. I'm kidding. Okay, so this is for Hancock Drive. You can get it there. And so we need to decide, council needs to decide on the type of street lighting and how we're going to handle paying for it and the bills after the project is done. If you look on the council agenda, it's listed on the agenda 2 options. Option number 2 is what we are going to recommend, and Waylon is going to go over it a little bit about the options and what it entails.
The option number 1 is it's a paid option, a monthly rental, basically lease to own type of deal. And We've always preferred that we would go with option number 2, where the developer pays up front for the pole and we cover all expenses and tariffs and fees after that. So that option number 2 plays out for where the developer would put the poles in for the cost of $30,263.34, and the city would be responsible for $157 monthly for the light fixtures. This is purely an estimate. It could minorly change, but that's what's coming from Alliant Energy at the time. I've taken a look at the design. It looks like a really nice design. There's 20 lights on the south side of the road from South Jackson all the way out to Airport Road, Smith Drive. It achieves all the recommended lighting levels and provides a uniform display. They did choose to go to the south side of the road because of future driveways for athletic fields and development in there. And if they choose to put those things in, and they can light those at their will. But this puts things on the south side of the road out of the way and spreads light well. It looks well.
Just a quick question. What's the reasoning behind preferring to go option 2 versus option 1? What are the advantages?
Do the math, it really doesn't work in anybody's favor other than the utility owners.
Long run cheaper?
Way cheaper. Okay.
So on this one, option 2, the school pays the 30,000 and some dollars for the lights and everything, and then the city takes the monthly bill and we'll pay that from here on out. So there's a resolution coming that wasn't in the packet. We didn't receive in time to approve this, that goes to Alliant. That'll be in the consent agenda on the May 15th council meeting. But I would, if you don't mind, take a motion to approve option 2. And before you do that, Julie, do you have anything?
That's what we've been talking about all along. So if you have questions, you'll are here too. So if you have questions in your discussion, we wanted to be able to answer any questions that you had.
So just a motion to approve option 2, and then we'll bring the resolution May 15th.
Motion made.
The school's on board with that. Yeah. Fine with it.
Yeah.
So moved.
Got a motion? Okay, call the roll.
Williamson,
Yes.
Ingstrom,
Yes.
Stein,
Yes.
Mormon,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Okay, next up, utility committee, Terry.
I'm just gonna give you a quick update on the UV project. That estimated completion date is now sometime in August. We keep getting pushed back a little bit. The city continues to accrue additional costs from both Fox and SEH. I think Fox will be well over $100,000 by the time it's all said and done. SEH will probably be well over 20,000. King's last request for a change labeled differing subsurface conditions was in the amount of $804,469 and a 200-day extension. Yeah, that's what I think too. The 50 days with the Fox suggests that they can justify $240,000 in the 50-day extension. And I still have a question about the 50 days, but that's coming up, and I think we'll be discussing that further shortly. As soon as they get finished, we need to get them done. So I think that's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes, we're gonna meet, what's the date?
What's that? Utility?
Utilities.
Second Tuesday next week?
Yep.
30. I do have something for the agenda.
Sorry. Yeah, that's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Next up, economic development committee, Terry.
Quick, I put on your desk in front of you our Washington DC fly-in that City Administrator Scare and Councilmember Byrd and I attended. It was a fantastic event. We got a lot of work done. A little bit of free time here and there, but not much. But that was what we were there for. We met with Senator Ernst, we met with Senator Grassley, we met with Representative Feenstra, Representative Hinson's staff, and several Biden officials. three of the main topics that we discussed and we put in their ear was the airport expansion project that's upcoming. Details are a little sketchy on that right now, but it's a significant amount of money. And an additional drone project out there. And then we also talked extensively about the Gemini project out at Ag Certain. That is a huge partnership with Iowa State and DMAC. That could be an astronomical amount of money and a big boost to Boone and the economic development of this community. So we're hoping for the best there. I think we have a really good shot at it. Dan O made a pretty good presentation, so I think we have a really good shot at that. And then the final thing that we talked about was the train issue. And we talked with all the officials about that, made it pretty clear that Ames, Nevada, and Boone were all significantly impacted by what's going on with the trains. The fact that they blocked the tracks for extended periods of time, maintenance, crossings and the viaduct and stuff is severely lacking. And I think they took that all to heart, given what's happened in the past few months with the railroad system in this country. I think they're looking at that. I followed that up today. I sent Senator Ernst a follow-up letter, specifically addressing the train issues in hopes to keeping that on her radar. They really need to do something with this before we have a catastrophe. If that viaduct, they happen to have a derailment there or that viaduct fails, the north side of Boone is in deep trouble. So I am hoping that it kept it on their radar, but it was a very productive meeting, series of meetings and very informational. So it was well worth it.
What did you stress? The delays when they blocked the track as well as the condition
And
of the
I think
viaduct?
they were aware of it. We sent ahead our agenda and stuff. So I think they were aware of it and knew, and they're getting a lot of pressure from the general public nationwide on the railroad situation. So I think we have a better than average shot that they'll put a little pressure on Union Pacific to step up their game a little bit. I talked with Senator Ernst and told her, I said, our railroad crossings, you have to crawl across those. They're so messed up. And then the viaducts, that's a whole different thing there, but yeah, it's not very attractive. But,
And
so I'm hoping that they will take that to heart. I will continue to follow up with them, make sure that it stays on the.
good.
Perfect. Republica piece showing how many kids nationwide had to wait and they would just cross underneath where they
Yeah,
shouldn't, to
crawl
get to
through.
school and everything like that. Send them that.
That's
for
dangerous.
human toll.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, it was a
Good trip.
very good meeting. We also discussed broadband and that major program that's coming up that we're going to try to have. I think Ames EDC is working on that right now. Anything I missed? Bill? No? Nope. Brenda? Huh? Okay, good. That's all I have here.
Okay, thank you. Next up, department reports, building official, Dave.
I'll be really brief. Just kind of wanted to come in tonight and just kind of give you a little bit of a quarterly update of where things sit with the building department. So I just pulled a few statistics on things. New residential builds are a hot topic. So just kind of want to let you know where we sit up to. We've had just under $3 million in new residential properties that we've obtained permits for. Which is quite an uptick from last year. We were sitting at about $600,000 in valuation for new residential properties last year. And now we're about $3 million. Commercial properties kind of had a swing the other direction. This year, we're sitting at about $721,000 valuation on properties. Last year, we were at 5.04 million, but of course, we had a school in there being built. So that's kind of where we're sitting with residential versus commercial new properties. Our total valuation of building permits, and this would include new builds, remodels, decks being built, garages, et cetera. We're sitting at a valuation of about $4.5 million increase in valuations on properties, which comes to a total of about $30,000 in fees that have been billed out for those. So it's not all our statistics that we keep, but just kind of give you a little general idea of where things are about way through the year. Remember that January and February historically are very low building months just because of weather. So as the beginning of March and getting into April, we've seen a humongous uptick in building, and it's only going to get busier.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks. Okay, next up, Finance Officer Andrea,
No report.
City Attorney Jim,
No report, Your Honor.
Public Works Wayland.
Thank you, Your Honor. Last meeting, I reported we'd be doing traffic signal maintenance at Mamie and Green and Mamie and Benton. Those repairs went really well. The loops are poured and integrated into the concrete, so hopefully we have years of trouble-free service with them. It was plug and play and it went really well. Right now, we're probably seeing some messages, Notify and Nixle about emergency sewer repairs. Some of those are seasonal, some of them are project involved where we're getting into them, but when the ground moves in the spring and fall and stuff, things shift and we completed 2 this week. Well, 1 last week late, 1 today, 2 today, and 1 next week, hopefully. And that hopefully we're sitting pretty good of what we know of issues ahead of us for sanitary and a couple storm. We'll continue to build intakes that you've seen around town crashed over the winter and stuff like that. One thing to hit on utility members, phase 5 I&I informational meeting is next Tuesday, May 9th, after the utility. So if utility wants to come, if any of you guys want to come to the informational meeting for the citizens, it's directly following the utility committee meeting. So that's 9th at 5 o'clock. And then Thursday morning, we plan to bring a street sweeper uptown and clean everything up, get some of the sand and grit and material from the winter out of the gutters uptown up here and get it ready for First Friday. Thank you.
Thank you. Engineering, Bill? No, okay. Public Safety, neither one of the chiefs are here. They're on a call, I believe. City Administrator, Bill.
Thank you, sir. Item on the agenda is review, discuss, take action on applications for Second Ward City Council members. We had, as you're aware, we had 2 patients, Corey Henson and Sarah Dietrich. I believe they're both here. So now would be the time for the elected officials to discuss or take any action that you deem so appropriate.
What we could do is you want to each stand up and tell a little bit about yourself and maybe why you want to be on the council. So.
I'm Corey Henson. I moved here in 2019. I'm the golf course superintendent at Cedar Point Golf Course. I built a house in 19, so I feel invested in Boone somewhat. For a while, I've been following city politics and become interested and just looking to be a service.
Okay.
My name is Sarah Dietrich. My husband and I moved here August of 21 when he was offered a position on the fire department here in town. Bought a home and have slowly been fixing up the house that had seen some better days. But I actually served as a city commissioner in my hometown prior to moving away from my hometown to move closer to my now husband. And just, looking to get back to it. We've fallen in love with Boone, back to our small town roots. Although we moved here from Kansas City, actually both come from towns that are much, much smaller than Boone. And just want to do my part to try to make it the best hometown it can be.
Thank you. So this is the time if you want to ask questions or.
Can I ask, if you were campaigning, what would be 1 or 2 things that you really would like to see addressed in Boone?
I would say my first thing is bringing more people to Boone, whether that be they live here or they come to visit here. I had no idea that Boone had so many things to offer. When my husband applied for the job, I was like, oh, it's just a small town and it's close to the city. And then I quickly realized that we have so much here to offer that people, even my coworkers over in Ames, don't realize are over here. You know, you say, oh, you live in Boone, and they're like, oh, that's a super small town. You have ledges. And I'm like, you have so much more to offer. And I'd just like to help open the eyes of the people around here.
Thank you.
Corey?
I would just say the continued economic development and everything that's going on with improvements in downtown, keep that pushing forward.
I have a question. How would each of you connect and communicate with your constituents? What's important to you with that?
A lot of my constituents actually play golf at the club I work at, so I connect with them a lot there. But otherwise I'd be free. The channel. Connect with.
I would say that for me, I know Facebook's a big thing. Different forms of social media, however, not everybody has social media, especially some of our older population. And so, you know, I'm not afraid to put my contact information out there. I'm not afraid to say, hey, let's go meet at Dutch Oven and, you know, have coffee on a Saturday morning if people have questions.
Okay. Sorry, Mayor has something he needs to deal with her. So any other questions for them? Any other council members have questions?
Thank you.
No more questions, sir.
No more questions?
I don't know. I mean, we want to move on from, I don't know. We don't really have a structure here, so.
Yeah. Well, we don't typically do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's how this is how we've done it in the past. There is one letter that somebody sent in from someone in the second ward, I guess. And that's up to the council. I mean, it's. Hi,
Who did they recommend?
this one, do you all have it? I can read it.
Yeah, we have to hear, yeah.
And it's somebody that knows Corey. They said that we are writing this letter as a recommendation for Corey Henson to represent and serve second ward. As a business owner and a resident in the second ward, we believe Corey would be an asset to our constituency and the community as a whole. We have known Corey since 2019 and found him to be hardworking, thoughtful, and engaged in the Boone community. Corey's temperament and passion for his community would make him a fine candidate for city council. We understand the gravity of the position and believe Corey would thrive in this appointment. And that's from Dr. Zach Weisbrod and Lisa Weisbrod. They own Boone Family
Chiropractic.
Chiropractic. That's the only thing we received as far as from the public. So now it's up to the council.
So we go ahead and act on this at this meeting? While the candidates are here? I mean, is this how we proceed?
That's how we've done it in the past.
Okay.
Done it a few times. I mean,
Yeah. Everybody, it's a funny thing is, you know, what do people value in a position like this? How do you make your decisions? And everybody's different. And
Right. Sure.
we have two, you know, what I would say solid applicants and
Yeah.
able to do the job. I thank both of you for putting your name on there. It's definitely not an easy thing to do and it's position. So just know that this is a hard decision for us to make.
Yeah, I think they're both qualified. I mean, both could step in and do the job. So it is kind of a,
So, I don't know. I mean, one thing that I think it would be good to see some diversity and representation on the council. Having another female representative would be probably a good thing. That's just where my head's at right now.
we could, listen, because I know Councilman Byrd, he was supposed to call in.
Mhm.
He's in Columbia. And if you've noticed, we've been trying to call him.
Yeah.
And because he wanted us to call him and he tried to Zoom, couldn't get any text and said, well, now we've texted him. And so, I mean, you could technically table it till the next meeting. So you have at least a somewhat full council. It's up to you folks.
I'd like to see Councilman Ford here.
Yeah, I think in respect to any,
Yeah, he has the right to weigh in. I wouldn't want to deprive him of his,
I think he would say the same about any one of you that we're not here to, so I'm just throwing that out there. You guys make the decision, so.
I think it's fair to wait for David to get back.
Okay.
Next one.
Yeah.
I would make a motion that we table this until the next council meeting. When Councilman Bird's here.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, call the roll.
Ingstrom,
Yes.
Science,
yes.
Mormon,
Yes,
Elspeth,
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes,
Thank you.
sorry, you too.
Sorry for putting you out too,
Oh, you were probably expecting it, but I
but
I really think Councilman.
right thing to do, really. I just,
Item.
okay. Bill's got one more item.
Just an update on the IT. As you know, we lost our IT position. I reached out to the county to see if they'd be willing to share one. They declined that. So I will be putting out RFPs for a contractor for the IT work that we have here at the city, and I'll keep you updated. That's all I have, sir.
We have a budget number in mind for that.
We do not. The RFP I'm going to put out is going to be, at least at this point, as an hourly, as needed, to see what kind of hourly charge.
Sure.
And then staff will evaluate it and go from there.
Eric, I see your supervisor's here to see why, I'm just curious why you don't have no interest in combining that position or working together?
The challenge we have is that we have one full-time person, that's our IT director. He is fully engaged at all times, full-time. So we have to add somebody in order to share somebody. That didn't make sense to us. But also we're converting the entire county over to Microsoft 365 in the coming year. It's going to be, we presented the idea to our IT director, and after he
Now we're
puts
doing it.
that all together, he doesn't know how he could begin to do it and take care of the county, which is his first, and add it further on. So if there's a way to do a second person and make that work, that might be a possibility.
Okay. I've reached out to the county for years trying to get us to work together and we've never been able to do it. I'm just curious.
That's the situation on this one.
Okay.
We have one person who is fully engaged. 8 hours a day. He's not going to find it.
Thank you.
That's all I have, sir.
Okay, next up, consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that you'd like removed and discussed separately? And if not, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, call the roll.
Science,
Yes.
Mormon.
Yes.
Elspeth.
Yes.
Williamson. Yes. Ingstrom.
Yes.
Okay, number 7, ordinances. A, second reading ordinance 2287 to allow the city of Boone, Iowa to change the stop sign regulations on First Street and Delaware Street, chapter 65, section 65.0245.
second,
Call the roll.
Mormon.
Yes.
Elspeth.
Yes.
Williamson.
yes,
Ingstrom.
Yes.
Science.
Yes.
Okay, number 8, I have no comments. Number 9, any council comments this evening?
I do.
Yes.
Thanks. Just wanted to briefly share about, follow up on our Boone downtown assessment. We had that last week. And it was 2.5 days. And it was very impressive. The team that came in, there were 5 professional development specialists that came in. And they really gathered input in a wide variety of ways over those 2.5 days. They had sent out a survey. They had a drive around tour of the community. They did a walking tour downtown. They spent 2 days doing interviews. With a variety of groups, individuals from our community. And they said they will be sending us a detailed report. They reported out on that Friday from 12 to 1:30. And so they did give us a brief overview of that. And it was really interesting, and I'm sure we will receive these. They had a set of drawings that they had made of kind of ideas of what some of the community could look like, some of the improvements that could be made. And so those were exciting to look at. And as they said, these are all ideas, suggestions. It's really up to the city and the community to decide what to proceed with. But really a lot to think about there. And they will have their detailed report with some suggestions and ideas that we can think about. So we'll have that coming in about, they said 4 to 6 weeks. And they had ideas of just storefronts and parking and green spaces and just all of that would make downtown a real inviting area. So it was well worth it. The chamber had helped pay for that. And so that was, I think, really beneficial for us. The other thing was to think about it'd be good if we had a project before we do our Main Street application again, which is in another year. And so just once again, want to bring up the downtown, those sidewalk squares that need to be finished off somehow. And I know we were starting to fill them. We've talked about a variety of things. Want to just toss out and get input of what anybody thinks of. They had suggested and maybe to think about planting something again. And I know we've had trees there or plant flower boxes there. And so really kind of thinking once again, is that something we could move ahead with? We'd want to do. I talked to someone that said a lot of the communities are putting ginkgo trees in there. So if you know what a ginkgo tree is, and they said there are 2 varieties and one is smelly and we don't want that. And they said the other one is kind of a nice sized tree that they said is not, I guess, for city to maintain it. They said they drop their leaves all kind of at the same time. So it's not over 4 weeks. You have to be cleaning up after them. So something to think about. That would be kind of a first step in moving ahead on that, and whether we could get some local groups. I don't think we have it was Johnny Appleseed or the Arboretum, or if we could get some groups interested in that, that might be a possibility to think about.
I think planting something would be fine. But you're gonna get some pushback on trees.
Well, I know,
Had trees and they've heaved the sidewalks and they've through years growth.
and I think you have to get the right type. I mean, that's where, we'd really have to look at what are other cities recommend that it doesn't damage.
Right.
Yeah,
These
Get that.
ginkgos seem to be really shallow rooted ones.
must be.
And that's why they're really popular with the downtown areas and cities and stuff like that. I'd like to move
So
forward.
we definitely want to get input on what would be recommended there, but just something to think about that might be a good project to start on.
Is that something Main Street's gonna tackle, or are you expecting the city to do it?
Main Street doesn't have any plans at this point of doing that. I think that's a possibility.
It's a Main Street thing.
It is. And so that's a possibility. Main Street doesn't exist yet. I mean, it is just a group that is hoping to become a Main Street. So there is not a Main Street, initiative.
I feel like that group needs to step up and want to get better. If that's what they want to do, they need to step up and do something about it. The presentation was great and they did a lot of good things, but I feel like they're putting a lot of pressure on the city to do a lot of things.
You mean that assessment
Yes.
team?
Yeah, they're putting a lot of pressure on the city to add more money, to add this stuff. We've got grants available for people to use. We've got the money that has been set aside for, I don't know how many years. I'm still new at this, but I feel like they should step up and do the things to help them get to that point.
And I heard they said these are suggestions, we want to just tell you what is possible and what you could do.
Yeah.
So I don't, and I think they were just helping, they were saying, we would be glad to help you if you want ideas or things like that.
I think it's a good idea in the absence of any other external group that exists or may not exist. It's just the right thing to do, to improve and beautify downtown. We had it before. We did it before. It's just like the hanging baskets. They love those hanging baskets. So we need to keep doing that. Everybody loves the hanging baskets and
Benefits downtown and the
The point is,
community.
Main Street is an organization, and I sat through the entire seminar with Bill. I've attended several Main Street functions. They need to hold fundraisers and get projects started. If the city's gonna finance this and do all this, why do we need Main Street?
That's right. Totally agree.
Tell me what that is. when I built the green space, I raised $35,000 fundraiser to get it done. It wasn't that hard.
Right, no, I think Main Street realizes they don't have funds right now and they have when they did the initial application, they had a lot of commitments to donate. But since that didn't exist, they have not collected any funds because Main Street is not an approved.
Precondition of, like, we committed.
Yeah, that, so
I know.
nothing there yet.
Has Main Street reached out to all of those donors and said, look, we need to do a couple of projects here?
No, but that, we've had that.
You know, can you pitch in a couple $100 to get these I mean, I sent you the information to do those squares, right? And
Correct, with some patterns in them.
like that, that cost isn't that prohibitive. You could get enough volunteers downtown from businesses to $100 a pop and you could do it.
Right, and we have had that conversation, and yes, we have said we probably need to go out and fundraise to try to do a couple projects before
We back up.
application. So yes, that's in the
To
works.
say this. We start from the premise that if a group of people, whether it be Main Street or whether it be private individuals, funds the trees and commits to volunteering to plant them, would the city permit that? Can we start there?
We did.
I think you'd have to.
I know what the information on the tree and the running system is.
Yeah.
Before we do that, because if you walk around
And
town.
we'd have to have
those-
final
Yeah, those sidewalks are
sign off, but just in general,
messed up. So.
Yeah.
Right, Wayland?
the general
Downtown.
can,
I'm gonna tell you, there'll be a group of people come and say they don't want trees downtown. I'm just telling you up front.
Because of the maintenance, I mean, they don't want to,
It's the maintenance, it's the heaving of the sidewalks. When they first put them in years ago, they had pigeons everywhere. The police were out there shooting pigeons on Sunday. It's true, this happened. And it just created a mess. And so then as the trees have kind of went away, we fixed sidewalks time after time because they heave. And you're just gonna hear, and I'm not saying that these new trees would do that. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you what people are gonna, I've been here long enough, they're gonna, I had a guy today tell me, get rid of the rest of the trees. You know, and he wanted to come tonight. I said, don't come. He'll be here at the next meeting.
Problem is, this is all speculation. What we need is a plan and a project that you guys want to do, and you bring us the data and the stuff to evaluate, and we go from that point.
I don't think we need to be the ones initiating the projects. I think it needs to come from Main Street or whatever group that is that initiates the project and not us.
That's what I mean. Main Street, and Linda represents the council on Main Street.
Yeah.
So she can bring that project, whatever it may be, to council.
Yeah.
And
I think we would all be willing to fund something to help it, but I don't.
I'm not, yeah, I'm with,
and you know, we
I'm
didn't.
not
Yeah.
opposed to help, having the city help.
Yeah.
That, but
No, yeah.
we can't be the mainstay behind this, because that's the easy way out for you to come to the city and ask for money so you can hire somebody to do your project.
ultimately, we need to develop good policy for the health of downtown. So can we agree that putting trees in downtown be good for the health of downtown?
No.
Maybe putting something in downtown. I don't know what. It would be nice to have an outline of what they would want and then we can discuss it.
Yeah, bring a plan. Don't just say, can you plant trees downtown or not?
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Whichever.
right. I'm just saying, these were some of our ideas. I'm not here to say, and I need this amount of money to help.
Yeah.
Get this going.
Yeah.
We know we need to do some fundraising and we just got a lot of ideas. And this is one of them that I think in order for us to move ahead on becoming a Main Street, we know we would need to be doing something to show we're really interested, we're really motivated, and yes, we need to do some fundraising. We have all those conversations in the works.
Still BETA funds available.
Okay,
So light a fire under your
right.
shops on Story and see if they want to participate in this. We could finish off some storefronts before your application's done. I mean, we got 3 going on right now. And then we got that $100,000 grant with the First National Building pending, right? So, I mean, it's not like we're standing still when it comes to Main Street.
Correct.
So,
There are a couple of items that they brought up that are completely irrespective of any kind of Main Street group or anything like that, just general recommendations that would improve, say, parking, for example. One of them was they said, remove the parallel parking lines for the slots. And they said that naturally over time, people would there would be more parking there. People figure out how to park. That's something that actually costs negative money because we don't have to paint on them, right? The other one is, do we have, diagonal on the east side?
Diagonal on the east side.
Do we have enough space for diagonal on the east side and parallel on the west side? They claim we do. We'd have to measure it.
I think we'd have to probably wait for the police chief to know what how much space they really need for
They
parking.
were discussing that. They thought there was, but we'd have to get rid of the turn lanes. So we'd have to remark and redo everything before that. Do we? I feel apprehensive about having enough, but in my book, it's open for discussion, but it need to be engineered study, I think, probably.
Yeah, it'd have to be looked at by an engineer.
Is it busy enough to have a turning lane downtown? I don't think that it really is either, I said, you hardly have to wait when you're going downtown and we can adjust traffic lights to adjust that.
I'd like to move forward investigating the possibility of that,
Just to get more parking.
just so we know for sure.
I think they also talked about overnight parking stuff.
Right, they really are pro overnight parking. One halfway ground that I've been tossing around in my mind is alternate day parking. You can park overnight one night, but not the other night. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah. We could even alternate at each side of the road too.
That's what,
And Whalen's crew can come through and
overnight, yeah.
hit it that morning, 2 days in a row.
So we have alternate, like you're speaking in the residentials, as you're aware. For downtown, people that work overnights, if it's a certain time, I mean, you may end up, if that night they can park there at the time, right? If it's whether it ends at 6 or 7 or whatever, and they get off at 3, and if they come and park on something like that, you're always going to struggle with those cars being parked in front of businesses during the day. So that's one of the negatives on just something for you to consider.
I agree. I think it's something we need to look at.
Mhm.
But what that tells me is that parking is an issue everywhere.
Yeah.
Not just Boone.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Comes up often.
And the thing about parallel parking is people just don't like, there's a lot of people are apprehensive to do it.
Mhm.
The vehicles are larger, they have, even though they've got gimmicks and gizmos to help them parallel park. I know, like, for example, my wife will not parallel park
Mhm.
anywhere. She will drive a half a mile out of the way so she can park straight or park angle.
Marshall will circle the block for days.
So it's an issue, okay,
And I think what we'll do is make sure when that report comes out that we'll bring it and whether we have a work session or at least discuss some of the things that maybe the city wants to think about.
One question I have is that over by US Bank, the Boone County Transportation spot that's reserved, is that used at all?
Oh,
Good question.
I think it's used by HERDA.
Two to three stalls.
Yeah.
They're
It's very large,
Can't they double park and drive around, like run in and grab somebody rather than?
but are they even using it? Does HERDA run that
I
route?
don't know. I've never seen anybody, but it's not up there all the time, so I don't know.
Yeah, UPS.
A very large amount of spots that's taken up. I'd be willing to take and then the one by Whistle Stop also, right? But that's for the senior center, that's probably a different deal.
that one makes more sense.
That makes a lot more sense, but this one, but probably US Bank is very large. Yeah.
I think we're talking about an engineering study down there, aren't we? Take a look at.
Well, I think to go from parallel to diagonal, you certainly are to make sure there's enough room and space. I mean, you have the left turn lanes like you spoke of, but it's not the whole block.
Yeah.
So you're doing a lot of things. I'm really not sure
We start phase one is like
asking.
lose the stalls,
I'm sorry,
lose the stall markings. Like let them
you mean the ones, the crossway ones?
parallel ones.
Yeah, just lose the.
Let them go.
So it's just all.
Big, or parking tighter. What did he say? He could pick up 7 or 8 spaces downtown.
Taking them off.
Let them go.
Yeah, that'd be just Public Works
I wouldn't repaint them. I would just let them.
taking them off.
Yep.
Can you take them off?
Yeah, let them just wear away.
Typically paint over them, don't you?
Generally, the paint over them.
Yeah.
You can burn them, you can paint them gray or black.
No.
I usually just leave it and let it go.
Let them wear off. Yeah.
Just let them wear off. Yeah, that's something we can certainly do.
It's easy.
Just ignore them. That's real good. We
Time takes care of that.
we
The
can
other
do
thing that
that.
I think was brought up downtown is that
Yeah.
the lack of signage, which, where's our high school football field at? Where's our high school at? Where are those certain things at? We don't have those signs like when you go up into one that I went to was Humboldt, had great big signs that said this way to, the football field or this way to Little League fields. I think that'd be another great thing to look into as well. Just to, direct people on where to go and how to get to places, where downtown's at, where the Rail Explorers are at, the old signs that are there are just getting wore out. So,
That might be a budget issue.
yeah,
That's, I know
They're expensive.
yeah.
DOT used to, if somebody wanted the signs placed on the DOT properties, they had to pay for in the restaurant or something. Pay for that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should check, I can check with some communities and see.
Yeah.
Paying for these signs.
And we, and Julie left, but we could also get with Julie and see if they could, help with, some signage on the school side of things. Yeah. So,
And there's one that Boone City Valley Railroad is pretty clearly owned by them, I think,
yeah.
and a little bit worse.
Yeah.
Where if we could contact them and see.
Yeah, you think Rail Explorers could pay for one for them and help them out a little?
Yeah, Boone City Valley Rail, combine it, Boone City Valley Railroad, Rail Explorers.
I want to say one thing. They said the entrance into Boone was one of the most attractive they have seen. They said coming down Story Street with all the beautiful houses and going into the town. So they were very impressed with that.
On signage, like you were mentioning, they said that the individual businesses did have some issues with signage. And they recommended maybe a lot of different ideas for getting that improved on their own. But having a sign contest by, I don't know if the art commission wants to take that up or somebody like that. They have a fund of money for grants. Judge who has the best sign. They win the money, whatever, everybody benefits. So, I don't know. It's just some of the things that are a little more esoteric, like, yeah, you could do this, but who's going to organize it?
Yeah.
I think that particular one, and then the crosswalk thing, having a crosswalk painting competition. Would be another thing perhaps the art commission would want to look into.
Mhm.
I know that in Ames, they did it and got into some, legal issues or whatever, but they're still there down, I walk by them all the time, so they must have worked it out somehow.
Yeah, with Pufferville Days downtown, maybe we can convince them into doing something down there. They can do a contest with high school kids or something.
Even if it's temporary.
Yeah.
Chalk art.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, there was lots of good ideas.
yeah, a lot of these things that we just threw out here, like ultimately are not gonna cost a lot in investment either, But I was enthused about the whole thing. I really, really was. And I could read the room. The people that were there, they were jazzed. They were really jazzed. Some of the ideas were pretty far fetched. They're not going to happen just based on the way things have to flow downtown, but it's good to
Start somewhere.
good to see a schematic and, but the one thing that I heard, and this resonated with me from a constituent that emailed me, she said, she looked at the drawings from 94 and she said, don't wait 30 more years, right? Don't wait 30 more years. And I don't want to wait 30 more years.
Okay, any other council comments? Any public comments for items not on the agenda?
Good evening, council.
Yes.
Thought I'd give you a quick update. Today is May 1st. Great idea on the May basket. And today is the deadline on the home improvement grants. And so when I was in my office before noon, before I headed to Boone, we were at 15 applications, request amounting to 130. I have heard we have a couple others that ended up there today, so we're gonna have a job ahead of us. I know that one of them will be disqualified because they'd already done the project and missed the wordings that they need to be projects that haven't started, but so we're gonna have a big job. The plan would be is that on May 15th, we'll meet with the Economic Development Committee. We'll create a matrix by your committee, Terry, then we'll evaluate those. and score them in the most objective way possible. And then bring a recommendation to you all. We don't want to wait forever. The clock is ticking and we want to get those dollars out the door, but thought you'd appreciate an update on where that's at. I think we have a case to certainly make application again in the future.
Yeah.
Because of the.
Good, thank you. Good. Other public comments? No, this meeting is adjourned.